Hi everybody, this is Teen Services Librarian Allison with a brand new series called Career Pathfinder. This series is a two-part series where we focus on interest finding for careers and resume and interview help. Now our first video is going to be on interest finding. So it focuses on how to find the right type of career for you based on your interests. I'm going to show you two different databases and one website that I know will be very helpful for people who are looking for the type of field they want to work in. Maybe you're looking to switch up careers. Maybe you just want to find out more information about another career. These will all be really great for you to use. Our first database that we're going to use is Career Cruising. Now, from our website, you're going to go under Services and Resources and just click that. It'll take you to this page and Career Cruising. Remember, if you are doing this from home, you'll click the Home button, and if you are doing this at the library, you will click the little guy with the book. Now, I already have an account with Career Cruising. So when I log on, this is what I'll see. You will also see this, but if you want to create an account, if you want to save any of your searches, build your resume, then I recommend creating an account for this. It's just an email address and a password. So let's think about careers. What kind of career are you interested in? Where do you see yourself going? What if you're not sure? What if you have a lot of interest, but you're not really sure where to put those interests, where to focus? Let's look at Explore My Interests. So they have two different quizzes. So there's Matchmaking and My Skills. So where my skills, the skills that you have, would best fit in what career. And there's also your learning styles. So if you're not sure if you're a better learner physically, auditorily, that's another quiz you can take. So I have already taken the Matchmaker and My Skills quiz. So all you're doing is answering questions about your likes and your dislikes to find the career that matches with your interests. So do you like working outside? Do you like to work with other people? Do you work more by yourself? Do you have an interest in technology, computers, social media? You're gonna get a lot of different questions, and you will answer them with this format from dislike very much to like very much. So there's 39 questions that you'll answer in order to find what careers will best match your interests. So I'm gonna look at my matches because like I said, I've already taken it. So let's take a look at my results. So these are my career interest results. I don't think these are in any particular order, but the first one is archivist, which is something I concentrated in library school. And then we have number 9 right here, which is a librarian, which is what I am right now. So the skills and the interests that I have match the career that I'm in right now. Now they do have other assessments that you can take. Usually after you finish one of the other quizzes, they'll have other questions for you that you can answer, and you'll find them under other assessments. Okay, so now I have my results. What's going to be the next step? Well, what's really great about Career Cruising, I'm going to click into this, and it takes what was suitable for me from that matchmaking quiz and shows me what I liked or how I answered some of those questions. So is it a suitable job for you? Let's look at a job description. Almost all of these will either have an interview that you can listen to or a text interview from somebody who is in whatever job that is, so in this case a librarian. So you get a job description. You get your working conditions, so what is it like, depending on what kind of library or what kind of environment you're working in, how much you earn, the education you need in order to be a librarian, a sample career path, so if you are looking to be a junior librarian, if you're looking to be a librarian, a head librarian, these are some paths that you can take in order to get there. But maybe librarian isn't exactly what you want after looking through all of this. You can go to related careers, and some of these were on that list of mine that matched my skills, that matched my interests, and I could click into another one of those. And if I want, I can save my plan. Now there's another site that is going to be helpful. It's one of our other databases, which is Learning Express. And if you have seen my last series, we looked at Learning Express a lot when it came to test prep, but we have Job and Career Accelerator. So let's go into that. So find a career match. Click on that. So I want an interest matcher. This is similar to career cruising. So let's launch this. Now I have already taken this one as well. It's in the same vein. You're answering questions about your interests, but the results are measured a little bit differently. And it gives you your current preparation level. You can view career matches, so let's look at that. And we have a bunch of careers here. So let's just click on one of them. And it gives you the same information. So wages and trends, which is kind of nice because we can kind of see the projected growth. What might somebody be making in the future, if that increases, decreases. And we can change it by state. So let's look at New York. That's pretty good. And some helpful hints. You can also look at what kind of activities, what kind of tasks you're going to be doing. So if you were looking for a job, you're going to see something like this on the application for the job. So what is your work activities? What are your duties as a court clerk? The tools and technology. So what should you know if you want to be a court clerk? What kind of things should you be aware of? What things should you know how to use? If you don't know how to use any sort of word processing software, might not be the best option. Or you can start learning about it so that way you can become a court clerk. Again, education, the related occupations, so maybe this one isn't exactly what you're looking for, but it's in the right area. Maybe instead you want to do a credit checker. Maybe you want to be a bill and account collector. And then this is the resources that you can go to help you learn more about these careers. And then here is sort of the path that was in career cruising, an idea of how to get from where you are right now to being a court clerk. And then if there are some skills, some improvement areas, so are you good at work keys and assessments? If not, that's something you can work on. Are your reading, writing, and math skills on point? Do they need work? You can review your skills and see where you are. This also has some jobs that are available that you can look at. And then if you have any jobs saved. So those are the two different databases that we offer through the library that you can look at. There's one other place I want to show you. This is probably one of my favorite websites to use. And you can look at jobs that are available here. So we can change the location within however many miles, and then a bunch of these will come up. Career cruising also has finding a job. So we just click on find jobs, and it'll take you to Indeed. A lot of you might have already looked at Indeed before. Maybe it's where you got your first job, maybe it's where you have your current job. But this is probably one of the more credible sites to look for, and where a lot of people will post most for jobs. Unless it's something really specific, then Indeed is a pretty good source to use when you're looking for a job. Now, along with this, there is a website that I love to use, which is Occupational Outlook Handbook, and it's from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, so it is a government website. If you totally forgot what databases I said, you don't feel like coming back to this video, the one thing I want you to remember is Occupational Outlook Handbook, OOH. This is one of the greatest resource tools for finding out information about any career, finding a job, and looking at trends. So we're going to search the handbook up here. I'm going to put in job. And usually the very first option is going to be what you're going to click. And right here, we're getting a lot of the same information, but this one I feel like goes a little more in depth. So, what do they do? What does an interpreter do? What sort of duties are you going to have? What kind of interpreters are there? Or are you looking to be a translator? And what do they do? Are you a community interpreter, conference interpreter, health or medical? So instead of just stating what kinds there are, it gives you a summary and a breakdown of what each interpreter does. Because somebody who works in the health or medical interpretation field has a way different experience than somebody who works in a school. Obviously, in health and medicine, much more intense, much more vicarious trauma than somebody who works in maybe an elementary school. So, that's where the work environment would come in. So professional, scientific, and technical services is 34% of your job. Self-employed workers, you have 21% of that. Educational services, state, local, and private, 18. Hospital, state, local, private, government. I'll be honest, this was a field that I ventured into in college. Government is the most limited when it comes to how many interpreters there are available. There are not a lot of government positions that people will hold. It's a very difficult field to get into because of all of the qualifications you need, and you have to be very, very precise, which is obvious if, let's say, you're interpreting something in a courtroom. You need to be very precise, and it's almost like learning another sign language to do that. So it talks about what your work environment's going to be, and obviously, like I said, it's going to be different. They're all going to have their own pressures. They're all going to have their own different things that you're going to have to be mindful of. It also talks about your work schedules. If you were going to be an interpreter, your schedule may vary depending on what field you're in. If you're in a school, if you are the interpreter for one child in a school, you're going to have a pretty stable schedule. If you're an interpreter that is maybe freelance, you're not with a company, then your schedule is going to be way more varied. How to become one. So the type of education that you're going to need. So you typically need a bachelor's degree. The type of training. They don't need any formal training, but trust me, deaf population wants you to have some training. What type of licenses, certifications, and registrations that you're going to need. So what do you need? Technically, you may not need anything, but the National Association of the Deaf and the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, they have a certification for general sign language interpreters that a lot of people in the community really would recommend that you do have. And any other experience. It's really helpful for you, and if you're looking at this field, to know about deaf culture, deaf community, to have interactions with the deaf population before you even think about becoming an interpreter. And then you have advancement So interpreters and translators, if they have enough experience, they can do more difficult assignments, they can seek more certifications, they can go to school, they could go into different fields. And then important qualities. So it's not just, you know, in the other databases, we only had a couple of these things. The qualities are really important. These are things that can't always be taught. Business skills is something that I feel like can be taught, but concentration cannot be. That's, you either can be concentrated and focused in your environment, or you can't. Cultural sensitivity, dexterity, interpersonal skills, listening, reading, speaking, writing. Most of these jobs will have these things, but there's going to be some special ones depending on your field that you're looking at. Alright, our next one is pay, probably the one people think about the most. So how much am I going to make if I want to be an interpreter? Well, if I'm at a professional, scientific, and technical services level, I'll make $57,450, and that's a median annual wage. That's not a definite, that's not the beginning, that's a median wage. Now we can look at the job outlook, and I really like this. I like seeing that there is a progression of how it's going to be. So, in the employment of interpreters and translators is projected to grow 20% from 2019 to 2029. So it's going from 2 years ago and all the way until 2029. We can know that the projected growth rate is going to be 20%. And we can look at our job prospects for interpreters, translators. Now, state and area. So this will be depending on where you live. So, employment of interpreters and translators by state. This was back in May of 2019. And then we have our employment down here. So pretty high for places like New York, Texas, Florida, California. The states with the highest employment of this occupation, California is the highest. So then we have a couple of other maps. Annual mean. So where are the top paying states for this occupation? Employment of interpreters and translators. Location again. And you could just take a look at these, and since we already know that our prospect is that this field will grow 20%, then we can kind of take a look at this map and go, okay, well, if I want to have enough opportunity to get a job somewhere, I want to go to where there is a high demand for it, and I want to go to a place where I know I'm going to be paid well for it. So you can use this map to help you figure out, okay, well, here's my career, these are the options I have, this is where I want to go. And just like our databases, we have similar occupations that you can go into, and these are all just going to be different pages from the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And then these are just some contacts for more information, so either where OOH has gotten their information from, or just any sort of information related to this career that's going to be helpful for you. So there's also the Occupation Finder that you can use. So there's 790 different jobs or fields that you can look at. So the entry-level education, if you're not sure what that is, you can click on that. So the typical level of education that most workers need to just enter the occupation. So let's say you at least need an associate's degree, and you want your median pay to be about 40 to 59. And now I can look through and find the job that I want based off of those qualifiers alone. And then just like we did with the interpreting, we can go through all of those different tabs to figure out what they do, what are their duties, what's their work environment like, that pay, the job prospects, our outlook, all that information will be there. So this is the end of part 1 for the Career Pathfinder series. In part 2, we are going to be going over resume help, which we're going to focus on how to write a good resume, and we're also going to focus on interviewing skills. I hope you enjoyed this first part, and I hope you come back to watch the second.